Welcome to I Feel Like.
Your ultimate guide to navigating life as a young adult.
We're your hosts,
Anna,
Dan,
and Evan.
And we're here to share our experiences and provide advice on everything from surviving college and forming relationships
to situational etiquette and maintaining a social life.
I feel like it's time to start the podcast. Hi, welcome to this week's episode. On today's episode, we're going to give the ultimate guide to what subscription services are actually worth it. And we'll share our own experiences on what we've used, and we'll give a little bit about what has the best content and deals.
Well, these days, I feel like subscription services, whether it be like for movies and TV shows, music, I guess like other services in general, like Amazon and stuff, have kind of just taken over. Like, I feel like there's always some new subscription that everyone's talking about.
No, yeah, I definitely kind of agree with that. Like, especially now between just this past year alone, I'm thinking like Disney Plus kind of got huge, HBO Max, which I think changed from HBO Go. Then there's Peacock, which is like NBC's new streaming. There's way too many to keep track of.
Yeah, I think like maybe the idea of a subscription service is nothing new, but it seems like there's just so many more options, and every company is trying to like capitalize on their chance to get in on it.
I don't want to throw off the discussion already, but is Peacock out yet?
Yeah, I think it's been out since like October.
Oh, has it? I did not know that.
I don't know.
And honestly, it might be.
Was...
I just don't know. Because I know like Netflix was taking off like all the NBC shows, like The Office, Parks and Rec, all those, and Friends.
Thought it
Friends is
launched.
NBC? Oh,
but I don't think Friends is on Peacock. Friends is going to be on HBO Max. I know that.
Yeah.
At least that's what I think.
See, so if you couldn't already tell, this is why we need to have this kind of discussion.
Yeah, it's so hard to keep track of it.
Far too many.
Well, I guess maybe an easy way to start is like, what services do you guys subscribe to? I mean, I have like my family pays for Netflix. I personally pay for Spotify Premium, and I guess with that, for like a student deal, I get Hulu and like Showtime or whatever, and then I kind of use someone else's Hulu, and I have Amazon Prime, but I think that's it.
So I don't pay for my own subscription services. I have some family ones, which are just TV shows. So I have Netflix and Hulu, and I think like my parents have HBO, but I don't know that password. And I have Disney, yeah.
For me, I think I probably have the least out of all of us. I have Netflix with my family, and then I individually have Spotify, the student premium deal thing where you get like Hulu and Showtime, all that too. But that's really all I have, I'm pretty sure. Oh, I also had YouTube Red for a hot sec.
Did you get it during one of those like free trial periods?
Mm-hmm. I got it during a free trial, then I got hooked on a show, which I will not divulge. And yeah.
He's embarrassed.
I was going to say, like, I feel like at this point, a lot of people have probably done the free trials for like Amazon and YouTube Red. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we've all probably done those just to do them.
Yeah, I think like what I guess made me shell out the money for Amazon Prime is I got maybe like 6 months free as a student, and then I figured this is kind of convenient. I like this. It's maybe like $6-7 a month. I would be willing to pay that to continue to have this. And same with like Spotify Premium. I used to just have the regular free version.
I have the free
Evan
version.
Still has the free version, and it's like almost 2021, and Evan still has the free version.
For my music, I use YouTube. Like, I have the free version of Spotify, but like basically that's Pandora. You know, that's like, it's not worth it to use. So I use YouTube, and I'll just like look up the song that I want or something like that. So
like that's what old me used to do. But honestly, having Spotify Premium or even Apple Music, just something where it lets you pick whatever you want to listen to. You don't have to put it in a playlist and hope the song you want comes on. You don't have to like type up something, and like I just think it's so convenient. Like that.
It's definitely like a lot easier to do it because I used to do the thing too with like YouTube, but then I was getting annoyed because like every 5 seconds there would be an ad, and now YouTube's adding like 2 ads, 3 ads. I don't know. That's another debacle, but it's definitely a lot more convenient though, especially like now with like paying maybe just like this extra premium fee just to be able to kind of curate your own playlist, be able to like skip songs. Because I'm pretty sure on like the free version you only get like a certain amount of skips or something like that.
Yeah, I honestly
Yeah,
forgot about that
you
because
only
it's
have so
been
many
a while
skips.
since I've used it.
And I I like I don't have the need. I don't listen to that much music, I think, enough to need to get Spotify. So like I'm fine without that subscription service, but I think that's and I feel like other people might be fine with that too. So I think that's something you'd have to judge for yourself, you know?
Yeah, it probably definitely depends on your lifestyle, and I mean some people just listen to music more than others. But what I really like about Spotify Premium, and I think Apple Music or whatever probably has this too. I like being able to like download songs so that you can listen to it. Like if you're in the car or just like if you're not connected to Wi-Fi, I probably use that the most. And it's just nice to have like a collection of all your songs that you can just look back on and play when you want.
So I guess a way that we could kind of just go about this would be, since we've already been talking about, we could just kind of start with all of the music subscriptions that we have, like Spotify, Amazon Music, Evan, and just using YouTube, things like that.
I was gonna say those are the big three: Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Music. I think. Are there any I'm forgetting?
I don't exactly know like what this entails, but I know my sister will use like SoundCloud. I don't know what she
I
uses
don't
that
think
for.
I don't. I've been on SoundCloud just for like some indie music. I feel like
Yeah, I thought
you
people could
know,
upload there. I didn't
but I
realize
don't
it
think there's gonna
was.
be like The Weeknd or
I don't
Taylor
know.
Swift on
I don't
there.
know. That's just what my sister's like. I gotta pull my SoundCloud up.
I'm pretty sure it's for like independent artists to
That's
kind of
what
like
I thought.
self-publish their own music.
Yeah, like there was a kid in my high school who put his mixtape on SoundCloud, and it didn't end well for him.
Yeah, we all had that one person in high school that put their music on SoundCloud. And I don't think you have to pay for SoundCloud either. So unless
M-
there's a paid service that no one
I
knows
don't
about.
know. I guess Pandora, that was kind of big in like 2010.
Yeah, my parents still use Pandora, I'm pretty sure.
I
I
just
don't
don't
know
really
what
have a
else there
reason.
is.
I don't really have a reason to use Pandora because it's like, why would I want a radio kind of thing? Like if I'm in the car, I'll do the radio. If I'm not doing my music, you know what I mean? But otherwise, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know why someone would do Pandora, but that's kind of out of the question, I think.
Well, I've only ever really used Spotify. I've never used Amazon Music. And I guess I've used Pandora, like just the free version, back when that was cutting edge technology. And I remember when Apple Music used to be free, like they had like there was like radio stations almost. Like it wasn't always
Mhm.
paid.
Yeah, like I definitely had the free trial of Apple Music. I think it was like 1 month or maybe 3 months of that thing, and I enjoyed it, I guess, while I had it. But I definitely am team Spotify. Like I much prefer that one.
Me too. I think that was probably just the first thing that I used. I've never really used Apple Music, so I guess I just kind of got hooked on Spotify and never really saw a reason to change. And especially because the prices are pretty similar. It's not really like one is a significantly better deal than the other.
I was, as you guys were talking about this, I was like, how much does Amazon Prime Music cost? And so I looked that up, and I feel like automatically this kind of puts it out of the discussion because for Prime members, you pay an extra $8 to get Amazon Music. And then if you're not a Prime person, then it's $10 a month, which is more than Spotify and Apple Music, I think, right?
$10 like $9.99.
Yeah,
Well,
$9.99.
that's what Spotify is. I know
Oh,
for
it
a
is?
fact Spotify's $9.99 if you're not on a student account or a
Oh,
family
wow.
plan. I'm not sure Apple Music prices.
I'll look this up now. But I think, okay, so it sounds like they're kind of around the price, and I'm sure they all have the same music though, right?
It probably just comes down to like layout and maybe like feature preferences. I know on Spotify people can create like public playlists. I don't know if you can do that on Apple Music. I would assume you would. Like, why wouldn't you?
I feel like popularity also plays a big impact because when you look at things like Spotify Wrapped, which Spotify does every year, it like gives people an excuse to kind of almost give Spotify free advertising by posting about it. And I think that kind of explains why some services, like at least in my opinion, like Spotify have kind of like skyrocketed to the front line in terms of music related subscriptions versus like an Apple Music or an Amazon Music, which while it has the same content, I guess it's just maybe not as popular in terms of Western culture and just kind of what people are using.
And I think Spotify it's been around for a while. I think it honestly was kind of like one of the first of its kind. So I think it's just been able to cultivate a following and they've been pretty loyal.
Also, like, I don't know if there are student deals for like Apple Music or Amazon Music, but like, if any of you guys are like college students, I'm not sure if it applies to like high school students too. Or,
I don't
like,
think
just,
it does because my
okay.
sister's in high school and she couldn't get it.
But yeah, if you're in college though, like you can get this entire thing plus like Hulu, Showtime, all that for I think it's like $5.99 a month, which is pretty cheap. Maybe it's $6.99. I don't remember exactly.
I think it is like around. Actually, I think it's $4.99, but then with the
I looked
tax,
it up
it
now.
comes up to like
So-
$5.30.
So students for Apple and Spotify are $4.99 a month. There's like a family plan for Apple, which lets you have like up to 6 people, which is $15. And I think Spotify has something similar too.
Yeah, Spotify does have a
Um,
family plan.
But if you're not a student, then both are $10.
That's
so that's right
so
in line
expensive.
with Amazon too. So
I think that sucks for like just individuals. I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, would I still pay $10? Probably, but at that point, I'd probably think like, let me try to go in with like someone and
So
like
at
split
least in
this
terms,
family plan up.
sure. I have heard about family plans being a great steal because it's just cheaper. You know, you're paying less per person, even if you're not an actual family. Like I know people in high school did it with a ton of people, you know, and really brought the cost down.
Yeah, I tried to like organize some sort of
Um,
thing, and then I know
yeah.
people who did it who would pay like $2 a month,
Yeah.
and then everyone gets their own account. There's no like
There's no fuss.
sharing.
Yeah, it's not like organizing playlists or affects your search. But at least in terms of pricing, it all seems like they're the same, pretty much. And in terms of content, I doubt they differ by that much, you know?
I think probably like all the big mainstream artists are all on the different platforms. I'm not sure about smaller up and coming indie artists. I'm not too sure about that,
I was
but
gonna say maybe then it kind of gets specific where it's like, oh, if you love this specific person, maybe just search them up beforehand and make sure they're on the thing that you're gonna be getting. But yeah, and yeah, I don't know. So I guess the debate really comes down to like, make sure you just look it up beforehand and check that they have the artist that you want, you know, at least for the indie stuff.
yeah, I think especially with like the music, since it all seems pretty similar, I think it's just gonna come down to personal preference of like layouts and small features and stuff like that. But I guess my verdict is I would recommend Spotify, but only because I haven't really used the others.
I was gonna say that that's a great point. Kind of the layouts, because I know like everyone uses Spotify around me, so I would want to get Spotify so I could like share playlists and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But if I was an Android, I probably wouldn't get Apple. You know what I mean? Apple Music. But if I was
I don't even think you could get it on an Android.
I think you
I don't
might
know.
be able to. But anyway, but the point is like, you know, if I have all Apple devices, maybe I would get like an Apple subscription and like do that. And maybe if it's like all integrated like that. And if I knew like friends that had Apple, so we could like kind of share our playlist that way. So it kind of comes down to your group too, I guess, you know, and like what people around you have.
I think that I definitely agree with that it's all kind of like based on groups. I just think that it's kind of unfortunate for Apple Music and also Amazon, I guess, if that's still in the running. Whereas like Spotify has been around for like a while, like Anna was saying, whereas Apple kind of just had iTunes. So I think like that transition
Rip
from iTunes,
iTunes.
yeah, that transition from like iTunes to Apple Music, like that kind of really hurt Apple in terms of like a music subscription service, because by then everyone had kind of gotten comfortable with Spotify. And I think it's a lot harder for someone to just be like, yeah, I'm just going to completely switch my plan, especially if it's like the same price, no matter like what plan you're on, things like that.
But I will say that that's kind of where Amazon has the leg up now, because you're talking about the whole point of this is that there's like a million subscription services and what to choose. And like Amazon is like, oh, you're probably going to get Prime eventually, right? If this Amazon thing continues.
You're
And then-
eventually going to give in.
So, and then you'll get a cheaper thing for Amazon Music. You know what I mean? So like, sure, Spotify might have all the customers right now, but they're just music. You know what I mean? But eventually, like these companies are going to grow, and like you're going to choose Apple or Amazon probably because you're going to want it to be cohesive. Like that's where you have all your other subscriptions. So like, why would you have this other Spotify subscription? You know what I mean?
I guess,
guess-
this. Oh, you can go.
I guess as someone who does have Amazon Prime, first of all, I didn't really know that the music thing was a little cheaper if you had a subscription, but even knowing that, since I've used Spotify for so long now, even $1 less a month, that wouldn't be enough to motivate me personally to switch.
I feel like too that we've been talking a lot about like Amazon Music, but just generally, like I'm pretty sure you both said you had it, but like what's the appeal of Amazon Prime? Because like I had it for those 6 months, I just wasn't into it.
I feel like the answer is obvious, right? Just
The fast ship time?
the fast ship time, and you don't have to pay for shipping because you're paying that monthly subscription.
I mean, for me, I just feel like I wasn't ordering nearly enough. Like I maybe got like one purchase every month. Like it wasn't worth it for me.
Sure. Well, I think even if you did 2 purchases a month, I think that would be the cost of Amazon Prime right there and shipping at least, right? Because you're talking about what, like $4 per shipping probably per order. So, yeah.
I know for me, like some months I definitely use it more. Like this past holiday season, I used it a ton, like to order stuff that I was giving people, or I would order stuff for like my mom or whatever. And it really was nice to have that short ship time.
I would say that I think my parents definitely like it because of just how many things they buy on Amazon. Like they're not going to the grocery store for cat litter anymore. Like they love shipping that. And things like, like probably honestly the way of the future is not necessarily getting everything at the grocery store, kind of shipping some stuff.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
like
where it would come in, I think.
yeah, and like before a global pandemic, when we were up at school and living on campus, I know that I would get all of my like toiletries shipped through Amazon Prime, and that was so nice, especially when you're in the city. You don't have to like let me carry back this big thing of like paper
yeah.
towels, or let me carry back all these bottles of shampoo and soap and stuff, and it was just very convenient. And even if you don't use it a ton, like Evan's right, even if you buy 1 or 2 things, that already pays for the cost of the membership for the month.
I'm also thinking they have such a wide selection. So if I am like, in the city and the only thing near me is like a Target, they might not have necessarily the brand of shampoo I like. You know what I mean? So it's like I can probably order that just fine.
No, yeah, true. I guess that like when you say things like that, it kind of makes sense.
And
I
the
also-
crazy
Oh, sorry. Go. Yeah.
Okay. The crazy thing is, like, now that I have had Prime for a while, I'm so accustomed to this 2-day shipping that if I order something from like a regular store, it's like, are you serious? 5 to 7 business days? Like, this is torture. So I do try to order a lot of stuff on Amazon just because I almost like can't be bothered to wait anymore.
No, yeah, I totally get that. I think that I feel like Amazon as a whole just kind of is getting this whole like monopoly almost on like everything. You talked about how they have like the music, and now they have just the general shipping. I know I'm pretty sure they also have like Amazon like video. Or, like,
yeah, I was
Prime
gonna say,
Video,
yeah.
That's not an upcharge though. That's just for free.
How is that? is that worth it? Like, is it worth it to get Amazon Prime for the video? Because like I've never heard it in comparison with like a Netflix, Hulu thing like
I
that.
wouldn't say I wouldn't pay the Amazon Prime subscription just for the
Yeah.
video. I mean, I guess it's nice because occasionally they'll have something, but the selection's really not great. It's a lot of like unheard of stuff. Maybe they have like a couple movies that were big or recent.
I know I've
But
looked on Amazon and it's been a couple times where it's like, oh, you can watch this, but it's with ads. And it's like, oh, okay. So, definitely limited that way.
yeah, I guess it's a nice free perk, but I wouldn't spend your money
Yeah.
on free shipping
I
just for
don't,
this
yeah,
video.
I don't think they have such an easy access to shows. Because, like, you talk about Netflix, they're making their own shows. Same with Hulu at this point. So it's not like Amazon's going to
Well,
get some
Amazon
of those shows.
has made stuff like that,
Mhm,
Marvelous
yeah.
Mrs. Maisel or
Mhm.
whatever. I
Which
know
was a
that's really
hit, yeah.
popular,
Mhm.
and that's an Amazon show.
But
I
I
think
don't,
Amazon has made their own movies too. Like they're definitely in the game. I wouldn't say they're like a front runner, but they're
yeah. I don't
in
think
the
they've,
race.
I don't think they've made a name for themselves in the development category yet. You know what I mean? They're just still kind of providing, I feel like. But
I
yeah.
think that that's a good way to put it, where it's like they're providing, but they're maybe not like a front runner. But in terms of like front runners, I know which ones I think are like my TV, film, movie like front runners, but like
This topic gets me heated. I have so much to say on this.
well, you can have the
But
floor.
no, let's answer your question first.
Okay, the obvious two choices, right? Or just Hulu and Netflix.
Yeah, I think as of right now, Hulu and Netflix. But I also think that, especially in this trend that we've been seeing of like more and more streaming services coming out, I have a feeling that these big powerhouses like Hulu and Netflix are going to start to diminish. Netflix especially.
I agree.
Well, what's annoying me is they're taking TV shows and stuff off of Netflix and Hulu, and they're starting like the NBC stuff. They started Peacock, so now that's not on there. And now HBO. I know HBO is taking off like The Office, Gossip Girl. I think they may have even taken. I think Friends is going to be on HBO Max or Go, whatever it is called. And it's
I
like, then why am I paying for Netflix if everything's getting taken off? Like, yes, some of these Netflix shows and movies are good, but I don't want to pay for Netflix just for these originals.
I don't think they're not done yet, like maybe they have one or two seasons, but when I pick a show, I want something to be complete, and I feel like Netflix has a lot of drama and a lot of maybe some like comedy, I guess, but not like the standout comedies, the staples that are like this show will make you laugh 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they're really becoming their own production company and releasing their own written and produced stuff, which I mean, I will admit I have watched several Netflix series and movies and I have enjoyed some of them, but still, I think I don't necessarily like the transition, having been a subscriber for a long time and having it have started out with having a lot of shows from like TV channels, if you will. So it just annoys me that I have to go pay more money to
And I
get
feel like
that somewhere
Mhm.
else.
And I feel like all these streamers are kind of like shooting themselves in the foot. You know what I mean? Where it's like by splitting up all of this much, you're gonna force people to choose. Because no way, everyone's gonna choose every single one. You know
Well,
what I mean?
didn't that basically happen, and why like I guess not really modern anymore, but like with over the past like 20 years, why cable became a thing, because there were all these separate like channels and entities.
Yeah,
And then
but-
one person was like, oh yeah, let's just put them all together into cable. Like that's basically what we're doing now, except
Yeah,
for streaming
absolutely.
services.
But I don't understand how that you could change this. You know what I mean? Because Netflix isn't gonna give up their original shows to a new online subscriber thing that has everything. You know what I mean?
I think
Well-
the TV shows are tricky because stuff with like NBC, they probably have a contract with Netflix saying you can run this for however long and then we'll probably take some of the money, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
if
think
you
that's
produced
also-
it, they could probably easily take that away and say, well, why would I get 20% of the money when I can get 100% of it if I just start my own thing?
I feel like too, that's why like a lot of these shows, like they're not all leaving at once. It's like, oh, first Parks and Rec is leaving, then like 6 months later The Office is leaving, because like they each have their own separate contracts.
Yeah, probably
But
individual
I have a
contracts.
feeling though that once all these contracts kind of end up and every show ends up in its home network or service, if that makes sense, like I feel like you are really just going to have these like completely separate entities, and it's like having to choose like, oh, which show do I want now, or things like that, opposed to which service do I want now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, I could see myself doing this if there was something that I wanted to watch that was on Peacock, subscribing to that for however long it took me to finish it, then canceling it. What I mean, unless it was something I watched regularly, why would I continue to pay for this service if there's
Also-
nothing I want to watch on it?
Also, maybe this is like our first real thing of advice this whole episode, but definitely take advantage of like free trials that these providers give, especially with all these new providers. I guarantee that there's going to be probably like even like 1 week, 1 month free trial, something like that. Definitely take advantage of them. Use your different email accounts and credit cards if you have to. But, like really like take advantage of the system.
I've kind of noticed that these subscription services aren't running as many free trials. Like, I was just looking into HBO Max not that long ago. They're not doing any sort of free trial. Their only promotional thing is you get 20% off if you order 6 months worth in advance. And I don't think Disney Plus does any sort of trial. I don't know about Netflix and Hulu, but I mean, Netflix used to be like a whole free month, like years ago. These free trials, if anything, are like a couple days and then they're taking your money.
Is like the Spotify premium student discount that has the Hulu Showtime bundle, is that still a free 3 months? Because then you would technically get Hulu with ads, but Hulu for free for 3 months.
I think it is still. I don't know if it applies to Hulu, but there's definitely 3 months free of Spotify.
I'd assume it applies to Hulu then, because, well, I know like for me,
I
like the only
guess.
reason I have Hulu is because I have Spotify. Like I'm only paying Spotify though. Like I don't pay anything to Hulu.
Yeah, I would assume. I was gonna say that I started looking up prices, and because I just, like for me, like my parents are paying for the Netflix and Hulu, and I guess I just kind of wondered because I think my mother said the other day that Netflix was getting up to like 30. I was like, that's a lot of money, What?
It was getting up to what?
30. So
What did $30?
Yeah, so I did some
I know
fact
Netflix
checking.
raised their prices to like $18 for one
Yeah.
of their more expensive subscriptions,
It's $18.
which that is crazy.
Yeah, and then I think my parents also like to get the DVDs because that gets some
You guys
movies.
still do that?
Yeah, because that gets because like talk about a movie like I don't even know, like I don't know. It's like if a movie comes out and it's not on Hulu, this way they can still watch it because
I didn't know Netflix offered these services.
Yeah, so because Netflix usually gets the movie DVDs when the DVD comes out, so that way my parents can still watch.
Well, you guys
movies
also
that may not be streaming somewhere.
You guys like canceled your cable, right?
Yeah,
because at my house we still do have like cable,
we lost
whatever
the
you want to
cable
call it.
years ago. My parents were like, "What is the point anymore?"
Yeah, I think with all these streaming services, that is what's going to happen. People are going to cancel their cable
Well,
and then just
people
get
should,
a couple of these
honestly.
subscriptions.
Honestly,
I mean,
if
I'm
you have
probably
cable,
going to cancel my cable like once I'm an adult. Because
Yeah, I mean, like once I have my own place, sure, but like you're not going to convince my mom of that.
I'm just thinking now though, it's not like I'm like going and like, oh, I gotta go home and watch the news or anything.
I don't
like
even
that.
watch stuff on TV. I watch it on my phone in bed. Like my mom's like very like, let me get home, turn on the news, watch my shows on the TV. Like, no, I don't ever sit in front of the TV.
Well, I know my parents have the Apple TV, the little box thing, and like they can get a little 6ABC app and watch their news through that. So they don't even need cable. They probably pay for like $100 little appliance.
I feel like
that's that.
I feel like at my apartment too, we have something like that through like NBC or something.
Sure.
Where it's like we can. I've never watched cable at my apartment, but I'm pretty sure like maybe I'm paying for that. I don't know. I should really talk to the guy who's in charge of this.
I feel like hot take: if you still have cable or a home phone within the next year, you're behind. Like you're losing money. You don't need these.
I don't. Okay, maybe not the next year, but over.
No, next year. You can get rid of them. You probably have a cell phone. That's your home phone now. And cable, I don't know why you're paying for cable still.
I mean, if I were the one paying the bills, cable would have been gone a while ago, but
Yeah.
I'm not paying a cable bill. And like, I think it's harder to convince parents of that just because they grew up with cable, so they're not going to get rid of it as easily.
Yeah,
I
I
just
think
feel
it's
like-
also like I feel like it's also a generational thing where it's like I don't know about your parents, but like my parents like watching the news. They like watching like Jeopardy at 7 o'clock every night. Like
I mean, my parents love watching the news and they love their game shows too, but they are just, I don't know. They don't care about watching it at 7 anymore. They care about watching it as soon as they want it. You know what I mean? And they care about getting it cheaper too. Because cable, I know my family struggled with like, oh, we're on Verizon. Oh, they raised their things. We're going to Xfinity now. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, I don't know.
Well, I think because I know I have brought up to my mom, like, why don't we just get rid of our cable? And I think we have Verizon Fives. I don't even know, but I think she gets some sort of a bundle deal where we get like our Wi-Fi and cable, like a package deal kind of thing. So I know that's why she's like, yeah, I'm not gonna cancel it, but I don't really know about that situation.
I think ours is the same thing where like we have like all like because I think we have like Verizon or something, so it's like we get the internet, the cable, the phone,
And like,
like
yeah, my mom has a home phone, not
oh
the
yeah, we have
physical
a home phone
phone,
too.
but like she has the home phone number
Mhm.
like added on her cell phone, so the home phone calls go to her cell phone.
I feel like we've gotten off track, and I feel like we should probably get back to the whole Netflix Hulu thing. And I just want to say that Netflix probably had my vote back in the day when they were a little cheaper and like had more content. But nowadays, I'd say maybe just go with Hulu.
Really? You like Hulu? I don't dislike Hulu, but I don't really use it that much. I just don't think there's a ton of shows that I watch on there. Occasionally there'll be something, but I probably spend more of my time on
I
Netflix. Like,
mean,
what do you watch on Hulu? I don't think there's a good
I think
selection.
recently with Hulu, I feel like they've been making maybe not the best like original TV shows, but I feel like I've liked a lot of their original movies that they've been making lately. Like what was that called? Holiday Season, I think it was called.
Happiest season?
Happiest Season, yeah. That just came out. That was really good. Palm Springs came out like earlier in 2020. That was pretty good. Like I feel like they're just kind of releasing a lot of new content. They're kind of like on an upward trend, whereas Netflix, I feel like I haven't really been interested in them as much. I'm more on a downward.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like I just kind of want to get off the Netflix boat now because I'm a little worried for them in the long term, just in terms of like being able to keep old shows, which I don't think they're going to be able to do. And I think Netflix, in terms of creating their own content, I mean, it's maybe critically great, but like I'm just not really here for a lot of it. And I think Hulu's
also-
been keeping up.
Also, like, how long can like Stranger Things last, or like just kind of these like hit shows that they have?
Well, I don't really think, I mean, maybe you personally don't really like the Netflix shows, but I don't think Netflix is going anywhere. I feel like they pump out all these shows and movies, and they're all the internet talks about, like The Queen's Gambit. That was such a big thing that came out this year.
True.
Everyone's really talking about this Bridgerton or whatever it's
True.
called now.
They do have some really big hits, I guess, but I'm just a little worried that like I feel like with Netflix in the past, they were always kind of one step ahead of the curve, you know? And that's why they've made a name for themselves because they were the first, you know what I mean? But just in terms of firsts now, I'm just not seeing that. I'm just seeing some shows that I don't necessarily care about.
I think
No,
there's just a
yeah.
lot more competition now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before there was mainly just Netflix and Hulu, but now there's a lot of other things.
I definitely agree with that too, though, because I'm just thinking like, I feel like a lot of the people too who subscribe to Netflix, maybe they're not doing it for their new content, but they're doing it for like classics like The Office, Friends, Parks and Rec, things like that.
That
So
all
once-
are not on
Mhm.
Netflix anymore.
So once all those shows leave Netflix, I'm just wondering, like, in terms of their subscriptions, what's going to happen to that? And did they preemptively raise prices knowing that they would lose a lot of people?
Well, I think
I don't know. They've had these price uppings, like it's like a yearly occurrence for them.
Well, I think Netflix has been doing a good job at kind of preparing themselves by pumping out original content, and they did that before they started losing stuff. You know, they knew they knew what to do, and I think they did plan ahead accordingly. But I'm still just like it's just not enough for me. And I think Hulu, yeah, they had the great movies. I feel like isn't Hulu kind of known for like getting shows right after they've been on TV? You know what I mean?
No,
Yeah, I think
That's
that
like
Yeah.
so I think
is a
Hulu definitely
distinction.
has shows, you know, and maybe cable won't stick around, but I think Hulu will stick around for that kind of thing, getting shows quick.
No, yeah, that's a good point because I did forget that like a lot of shows, like especially like in the past year, like I would watch The Good Place or Superstore, things like that, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, basically as soon as they came out, like the next day on Hulu. Whereas on Netflix, I would have to wait a whole year to do that.
That is nice about Hulu. I guess I just don't really watch a ton of stuff that's currently on the air. So I bet I've definitely used that before to watch like stupid stuff.
Okay, so I
I
guess
think.
go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I was
No,
just
go
gonna
ahead.
say, like, I was just gonna say, like, the last like film, movie, TV show, like general kind of subscription service that I think that's kind of big right now that we haven't really talked about is Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, that's
Like,
kind of new.
Yeah, I was just gonna add that I feel like sure there's the big ones, but like I think you can kind of cherry pick the little ones for now that you want, and maybe they'll be bigger in the future, but like definitely maybe choose the Netflix or Hulu and then maybe cherry pick what you want. But like in terms of Peacock and Disney, like Disney's big, but I think they definitely have not a wide selection. They have kid stuff and they have Star Wars slash Marvel. You know what I mean?
And like the
Like
princesses and
yeah.
whatever.
So they don't really have like some of those they don't really like get some of those comedies that like, you know, a Netflix would, an adult comedy. They have like the kid comedy and they have like the action. But I feel like they don't really have like I don't even know, like an NBC comedy like The Office or something like that yet.
I personally probably wouldn't subscribe to Disney Plus just because I don't have kids. I don't really have a need for like kid shows, and I'm not really into like the Marvel universe and stuff. I guess it would be nice because you know how they just released that movie Soul or whatever it's called? That kind of did
Yeah.
look good. Like if
Yeah,
I
I
had
agree.
it, I would watch that. Or when they released Hamilton back in the summer, like yeah, I would have liked to have an account for that, but I wouldn't necessarily want to pay a monthly subscription for it.
I mean, I feel like the way Disney's gonna go and the way Peacock is gonna go is it's just gonna be whatever was on cable now on TV. So Disney will probably continue to be those kid shows and maybe Marvel. It seems like, you know, I guess some adult stuff. And then the NBC is gonna do what they did on TV. They're gonna release crime dramas and cop shows, and then maybe like their hit comedy show, like I don't know, The Middle and Modern Family. You know what I mean? So it's really like unless they start diversifying, they are going to be the lower players in terms of Netflix and Hulu.
yeah, I think I think we're starting to run out of time a little bit. So I guess like since I feel like we gave advice, but we didn't give like a ton of specific advice. So do you guys just want to kind of like go through each service that we talked about and provide like a quick 30-second spitfire?
Should we like
Do you get it or
recommend a
not?
show? I don't know.
Well, I wanted to say that especially with the streaming services, it's almost like you have to group up with people and like split the cost because it's way too expensive to get every single one of them on your own. But like if you like even if the three of us, like if we split the cost for and we got like the HBO thing, Netflix, Hulu, and maybe like I don't know, Peacock, it seems like it's
Well,
more reasonable to split it or
well,
share accounts or something.
I will say that the price increases as you get like more screens and phones. And so it's like if you're by yourself, it would just cost $9 if you're just, you know, if you only have the one TV going and stuff. But if you did link up with other people, you would get that cheaper cost. So like definitely do that if you can.
Yeah, I think it's really, I think best case scenario, find a big group of people and make sure you're diversifying this thing. So you're only spending like maybe $10, $20 a month for you to get all of these services. But in the case that if you are just like you live by yourself, you know no one else in the world, you live in a deserted island in the middle of nowhere, I think that I have my personal recommendation of like one singular music and one singular TV movie provider. But I was just wondering, like, what do you guys think? It's like the best of each of those two categories, if you had to just choose one of each?
Well, I would choose Spotify. I mean, that's the only one I do have. And I guess in terms of the streaming services right now, if I had to pick one, I would still probably pick Netflix. I feel like I watch that more than Hulu or Amazon or any of the other things.
I'm thinking no music, skip it, save yourself the money.
And spend it on a streaming service.
And I for now I'm saying Netflix, but they're on very thin ice, and I could transfer the Hulu any minute now.
So Netflix, if you're listening, you might lose Evan as a customer if you don't step up your game.
I'm just saying you have some fans, but like pick it up a little bit.
Let's not get complacent.
For
Yeah,
me,
let's not take the easy train out anymore. We need to pick it up.
For me, I think same with Anna. Music would be Spotify. I think that's the best one personally. But I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say that for my streaming, I'm going to go with Hulu. I think Netflix lost me.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, I know this is an advice podcast, but I think I need your advice on what to do. So, I mean, by the time this airs, this probably will be like a little dated, but basically I'm rewatching Gossip Girl. So like I've seen it through all the way, but like I recently picked it up again and I watched it from like start, and I'm in like the 5th season, and I have one more day to watch it before it gets taken off Netflix. And there's no way I'm gonna finish like a season and a half by then. So should I pay $14.99 for a month of HBO Now, which is where it's going, just to finish a show that I've already seen before, but I'm really invested in this again?
I feel like we could have a whole episode talking about guilty pleasure shows like that. Like, should I watch this? Like, what do you guys think? Kind of thing. You know?
Should I splurge $14.99 just to finish Gossip Girl for the second time?
No.
As someone who watched Gossip Girl, no. It wasn't even worth it the first time.
Yeah, I haven't seen
There's
it. I'm
just
telling you,
something
no.
so comforting about a trashy show. I don't know. I probably will, because it's kind of getting like where it gets really crazy and out of hand, and I don't think I'm ready to like separate myself from it. So I think I might just have to shell out the money for HBO.
I will say that I think what Netflix is doing and keeping me on right now is that it has enough of those shows that aren't maybe guilty pleasures, but are nostalgic for me. You know, like I've watched it in the past, and like I need to be able to watch this again. So like I must keep Netflix. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know.
We should do a whole episode on best guilty pleasures.
So let us know in the comments if I should buy a month of HBO Max.
Even though by the time you're listening to this, she will already have decided.
I know, my decision will have already been made. I'll slip my Venmo and Cash App in the description. I'm just kidding.
I kind of want to know, like, if Anna's plugging for this Gossip Girl thing, like, I'll plug, like, I kind of want to know what other people are doing. You know what I mean? Or if there's some, like, like, I want to know
what are you talking about?
Like, I want to know what other people's favorites are. Like, should I get off the Netflix train now, and like, should I just do Hulu? Like, or is there some like little streaming service that I don't even know about that, you know?
Remember that like Quibi thing or whatever it was called? Like, there were all these commercials for it, and it was supposed to launch this year. I guess it did launch, but then it like got shut down by October. And they were supposed to have like free shows or something. I don't know. Anna Kendrick was in one of them.
Okay, well, just let us know in the comments if we're completely wrong on this whole debate. Thank you for listening to this week's episode.
Be sure to like and follow our podcast on whatever platform you're currently listening to it on.
Check out our social media, linked in the description, and tune in next week for even more advice.
TTYL
from IFL.
Bye.